This is Kurtop, presenting 100 amazing discoveries, proving alien contact. Silicon-based creatures. We usually think life is carbon-based, as carbon forms the foundation of DNA, proteins, and all life on Earth. But what if this is just one of the possibilities? Scientists have long debated silicon-based life. Silicon can form strong chains and complex structures, but these would be more rigid, crystalline, and might not resemble organic matter. There is a hypothesis that under conditions of high temperature and pressure, where carbon-based life breaks down, silicon-based life, on the contrary, might thrive. Imagine a world where living beings are translucent formations resembling stones, which grow, feed on minerals, and transmit information through vibrations. We'd mistake such an organism for a stone and not suspect it's alive. It's especially troubling that probe data sometimes reveals anomalies that don't fit carbon-based models. Scientists don't talk seriously about living crystals, but such theories do appear in classified reports. And if silicon-based life exists, then it means one thing: we may have already been walking among them for millions of years, unaware these aren't stones. The impact of the asteroid in contact with the gods. The asteroid that is believed to have wiped out the dinosaurs about 66 million years ago left a significant mark on the Yucatan Peninsula. This impact created the Chicxulub crater, which is still an important geological site. Although this cataclysm occurred long before the rise of the Maya civilization, its long-term geological and ecological consequences may have influenced the formation of the region where this culture later developed. Archaeological finds, such as cities and structures destroyed and buried under layers of sediment, may indirectly support the theory of cataclysms that occurred in Yucatan. Nevertheless, there is no direct evidence that the Maya knew about the asteroid that destroyed the dinosaurs or had any information about them. The idea that the Maya encountered dinosaurs is scientifically unfounded, as dinosaurs went extinct long before humans, including the Maya, existed. However, in their mythology and art, you can find depictions of creatures that can be interpreted as legendary or mythical animals, but this is not evidence of their actual contact with dinosaurs. Researchers sometimes find dinosaur fossils in Mesoamerica, but these discoveries date back to times that predate human history. These findings may interest geologists or paleontologists, but they don't support the theory of Maya dinosaur contact. Knowledge of ancient cataclysms may have been integrated into their mythology and beliefs related to natural phenomena and the actions of the gods. The Maya saw time as cyclical and expected recurring catastrophes, reflecting their views on past and future events. The clearest photograph of an NLO. On September 4, 1971, in the northern highlands of Costa Rica, photographer Sergio Luiso was conducting aerial photography of Lake Cote for the National Geographic Institute. Using a special cartographic camera that took a photograph every 13 seconds, he was doing his job, unaware that one of the shots would become unique. Upon returning to the laboratory, Sergio checked the photos and noticed a mysterious round metallic object in the right part of one of the pictures. It is noteworthy that the object, resembling a flying saucer, was not found in either the previous or the subsequent frames. For some time, the National Geographic Institute tried to conceal the discovery, forbidding Sergio and his colleagues from talking about the incident. The metallic flying object, more than 18 meters in diameter, was kept strictly secret. But in 1979, the photograph appeared in an Argentine newspaper and was analyzed by experts. Soon, Costa Rica declared the photo as official confirmation of the existence of UFOs. Despite years of research and debate, no one has identified what this object is. Skeptics suggested that the object on the right side of the photo is some kind of debris or a spot that got on the film during the photo processing. In 2021, a family friend was able to obtain the original photo in order to scan it using modern technology. This made it possible to digitize the picture, making it clearer and more detailed. As a result, skeptics saw the saucer-shaped object in higher resolution. The updated picture made it possible to dismiss a number of trivial assumptions and theories, since it was not a smudge or a chip on the camera lens. So what was it? Share your guesses in the comments. Changes in human DNA. Some scientists are discussing the possibility that alien microbes could affect human DNA, leading to significant changes in our genetic code. This hypothesis suggests that such microorganisms could not only exist, but also influence human evolution, making us more like them. In support of this idea, researchers point to a number of observable changes in the human population, such as decreased testosterone levels and reduced sperm count in men. These trends can be interpreted as signs of evolutionary changes, possibly caused by external influences, including environmental factors or even the influence of extraterrestrial agents. Lower testosterone and sperm counts can seriously impact reproductive health and population demographics. This makes the topic important from both a scientific and a social point of view. The Oklo nuclear reactor. Gabon, 1972. A French lab receives uranium ore and finds uranium-235 depleted by half, as if the fuel was already used. The news spreads around the world with shocking information that an ancient nuclear power plant is hidden beneath the African jungle. Scientists quickly arrive and drill many wells. The findings are surprising yet earthly. 2 billion years ago, rare conditions combined here: uranium-rich rock, porous sandstone, and groundwater flowing through the ore. Water slowed neutrons, starting a chain reaction until it boiled and halted the process. After cooling, the layer refilled with water. The reactor cycled on and off for hundreds of thousands of years, creating a unique set of rare isotopes. No man-made nuclear power plant, no intervention from visitors from space, just a successful geochemical reactor assembled by nature itself. But the story of Oklo still grabs your attention. The planet can build nuclear reactors without engineers. Just uranium, water, and time are needed. Korolevsky sapphire. Before you is a ring from the late 14th to early 15th century, the time when the English crown passed from Richard II to Henry V. The solid blue crystal is cut from a single piece of sapphire. The craftsman made the stone into a monolithic ring instead of setting it in a mounting. This process required a rare gemstone and diamond powder, the only abrasive that can polish corundum. In the Middle Ages, sapphire was considered the stone of justice. Kings and bishops wore it when making agreements. The crystal was thought to cause a fever in anyone who broke an oath. You can see a small step on the cutting surface where the jeweler shaved it to prevent the cutter from slipping. The ring weighs less than 10 grams, but in the 15th century, its price was equal to that of a good knight's armor. It probably belonged to one of the high-ranking vassals of the court. The documents identify the sapphire as part of the Norwich hoard, buried during the Lollard unrest and found 5 centuries later. NLO of the Third Reich. If all this talk about ancient NLOs seems too mythical, then this story is much closer to our time and is far more frightening, because we're going to talk about technologies that were allegedly developed in Nazi Germany during the last years of the war, and about a secret that neither the Allies nor history could take away. The Nazis really did create incredible things, from the first ballistic missiles to jet aircraft. But there is a whole layer of theories claiming that flying machines of unimaginable shape and power were developed in hidden Reich bunkers. They are called Haunebu, Vril, and the most mysterious of them all, Die Glocke, the bell. The bell is not just a piece of technology, it's a legend surrounded by rumors, disappearances, and strange deaths. According to rumors, the object was a metal machine about 4 meters tall, shaped like a bell which could distort space and time, an anti-gravity engine based on some kind of dark energy which caused the project's staff to die. Some claim that Die Glocke disappeared along with the SS elites who went to Antarctica, to a mysterious area called New Swabia. In those unreachable icy depths, a base was supposedly built that started a new era. According to other versions, the bell was found by the Americans and transported to the United States of America. That's why there were strange leaps in technology after 1945. It's hard to believe until you examine memoirs, classified documents, and unusual Antarctic activity in the late 40s. Some even connect this to Operation Highjump, the United States of America's largest polar military expedition, which was officially for research but, according to unofficial sources, aimed to intercept Nazis with unidentified flying object technology. Historians deny this, but the question remains, where did the scientists, engineers, and prototypes go? Why is so little information available after nearly 80 years? The Book of Kells. The Book of Kells is a medieval manuscript kept in the library of Trinity College and is one of the main attractions of Dublin. This manuscript contains the 4 Gospels in Latin and canon tables written on parchment. The book measures 33 by 25 centimeters and consists of 340 pages. It was created in the late 8th to early 9th century, and research has shown that it had 4 illustrators. A distinctive feature of the manuscript is that each letter has its own unique design, color, and meaning, like a secret code that has yet to be deciphered. The book got its name from the Abbey of Kells, where it was preserved from the Vikings in the year 814. Work is thought to have started during St. Columba's lifetime and continued for 2 centuries after his death. Historians have several theories on this manuscript's origin. According to one theory, it was created on the island of Iona and later moved to the Abbey of Kells. Another theory states that the writing began on Iona but was completed in Kells. There is a suggestion that the manuscript was created in England or even in Scotland. Despite the variety of theories, the Book of Kells remains one of the most mysterious and magnificent works of art of the Middle Ages. If you add water, we often think life only needs one thing, water. There's also the temptation to introduce it to places where it doesn't exist. The Moon, Mars, Venus, Mercury. 4 stories, 4 endings. Water exists on the Moon as ice at the poles, hidden in craters' permanent darkness. Add oceans, and the planet would have turbulent tides. But the Moon is too small to keep an atmosphere. Water would soon evaporate into space, leaving just a temporary sea. The Moon won't become a second home. It will stay a dead desert, briefly shining. Mars looks more promising. There are glaciers there, and there was water in ancient times. Filling it with oceans will bring the planet to life, making the air denser, forming clouds, and changing the climate. But Mars isn't protected by a magnetic field, and the solar wind will gradually strip away the atmosphere. Any second Earth we create will be temporary. In thousands of years, the water will escape into space again. Venus is the other side of the story. If you add water to a place with hellish heat and acidic clouds, it will boil instantly. You'll get an ocean of steam, the greenhouse effect will intensify, and the temperature will get even higher. You can't flood Venus with water. It will just destroy it. To bring this world to life, you first need to cool it down and break up its dense atmosphere. It's an almost impossible task. Mercury is unique, closest to the sun, with a hot surface and icy crater shadows. Water won't remain. It boils by day, freezes by night, and eventually evaporates into space. Mercury is too close to the sun to sustain life, and then it becomes clear. Just adding water is not the solution. Earth is the only place where water remains and supports life. The other worlds are too unstable, too hostile, or too small. There, water serves as a reminder of our planet's fragile balance, not as a source of life. Life on Saturn's moon. Now let's move on to space. While the astronauts of the Boeing Starliner, Book Wilmore and Suni Williams, continue to sadly wait for their return to Earth in February, National Aeronautics and Space Administration is actively preparing for future missions. In 2028, the launch of the Dragonfly spacecraft to Titan, Saturn's moon, is planned. Scientists believe it may be hiding incredible secrets. Dragonfly is expected to reach Titan in 2034. Recent studies have shown that beneath Titan's thick, icy shell, there may be an ocean with warmth creating conditions for the emergence of life. Beneath ice up to 10 kilometers thick, there may be an atmosphere, rivers, and seas, likely made of hydrocarbons like methane and ethane. Dragonfly will be an important step in exploring extraterrestrial oceans and searching for alien life beyond Earth. The Saltman from Iran. This astonishing discovery was made in the mid-1990s in the salt mines near Shahrabad in the mountains of Iran. Archaeologists think these are the remains of a worker from an ancient salt mine who died at work about 1,500 years ago. The unique conditions of the cave, saturated with salty vapors, helped preserve his body in an amazing state. Even the hair and beard have been preserved on the mummy, both turned whitish from the salt, making the find appear even eerier. Scientists think the cave's high salt concentration stopped decomposition, naturally mummifying the body. The salted body looks as if time has stopped, allowing us to look into the face of the past. The Salt Man became both an archaeological sensation and a key source of information about people from that era. Today, this mummy reminds us of the harsh past and the unique bond between humans and nature. Mars is our second home. It seems that soon we really will reach Mars. SpaceX is building rockets. National Aeronautics and Space Administration is testing life support systems, and China is preparing its own mission. The news is full of ambitious plans. The first people will land on the red planet in the coming decades. Colonies, domes, resource extraction, and greenhouses signal a new era, but Mars has its downsides. Radiation can kill a person in just months. The atmosphere is almost entirely made up of carbon dioxide, and sandstorms can last for weeks. To survive, humanity must do more than build bases. They'll need to reinvent the concept of life. This isn't moving to a new Earth, it's existing on a hostile planet. And yet, the main question is different. What if we won't be the first ones there? Mars rover photos keep sparking debates. Strange rocks appear like ruins, and some objects resemble statues or mechanisms. Scientists call this pareidolia, a property of our brain to see familiar shapes. But if even some of these discoveries are real, then the history of Mars might seem much richer. And maybe, when we arrive, we won't build a new home, but just return to the old one. Shigir idol. In Russia in 1890, workers were extracting peat from the Shigir bog in the Urals. Instead of roots, they found a pine log with zigzags, lines, and 7 odd masks facing different ways. The first radiocarbon testing in the 1990s already gave a staggering 9,500 years. And after a repeat accelerator mass spectrometry analysis in 2021, the age increased to 12,100 years. That's twice as old as Stonehenge or the pyramids. The acid-rich bog preserved the layer better than a sarcophagus, and the wood still showed traces of flint tools used by Stone Age people to carve into pine trees. Everyone interprets the idol's pattern differently. Some believe the horizontal notches divide it into 3 worlds, with 7 faces as spirits guarding each level. Some see the zigzags as a timeline. From bottom to top, you trace the tribe's journey after the glacier melted. Another theory says it's a star map, as the pattern matches a summer constellation over the Urals from thousands of years ago. But the main question is, why was the statue broken, sunk in the swamp, and weighed down with stones? If it were an ordinary totem, destroying it wouldn't be necessary. Maybe the ritual needed killing the idol to begin a new cycle. Scientists have only discovered the technique so far. Silicon cutters were heated to burn through wood, and the lines were then scraped smooth. Today, X-rays reveal hundreds of marks beneath the bog's dense crust. However, their purpose remains a mystery. No settlements or similar figures are nearby. It's as if the creators concealed their era's main work, leaving us only a solitary fragment of unknown history. Examples from Japan. The Japanese government denied the existence of UFOs for a long time, citing a lack of reliable evidence and concerns about possible public panic. In addition, the government sought to maintain control over information to prevent any data leaks. However, Japanese pilots have repeatedly reported sightings of UFOs. One of the well-known incidents occurred in 1986, when the crew of a Japanese cargo plane observed 3 unidentified objects over Alaska that accompanied them for 50 minutes. This incident received a lot of attention and sparked interest among both ufologists and the general public. In 2020, the Japanese government's attitude toward UFOs changed significantly. Defense Minister Taro Kono stated that the government would start taking reports of UFOs more seriously and would develop instructions for pilots and the military in case of encounters with unidentified objects. This decision was made amid a growing number of sightings and pressure from the public. The defense minister initiated the development of standard procedures for collecting and analyzing data on such incidents, and also strengthened cooperation with international partners. The analysis of unidentified anomalous phenomena data conducted by the Japanese military showed that some sightings truly cannot be explained by ordinary phenomena or known aircraft. However, so far, no convincing evidence of the presence of extraterrestrial technology has been found. Secret, unidentified anomalous phenomena video concealed by the United States government. On November 23, 2019, near the southern border between Arizona and Mexico, agents from the Department of Homeland Security flew in an aircraft to find and arrest smugglers bringing illegal substances into the United States. At one point, their infrared camera captured something with a strange shape. The mysterious object, which looked like a rubber bath duck, amazed observers, and later the American government. In September 2021, the secret video recording was handed over to experts studying aliens. After receiving the video from the Department of Homeland Security, Andy Marshall was shocked to see an object resembling a rubber duck. When it first appeared on the internet, the video amazed viewers because the unknown object was about 2 meters long and moved without any wings or exhaust trail. The duck-like object flew in a specific direction for about an hour. The official federal agency's video doesn't let you think it's been edited. The unidentified flying object community treats the video very seriously and believes it proves unidentified flying object S exists. Experts analyzing the recording also disagree. Unidentified flying objects are known for shared behaviors like speed, camouflage, and movement at certain altitudes. As for the so-called rubber duck, it moves too slowly, covering only 15 kilometers in half an hour. Such wind speed is normal in this area. Therefore, it is possible that the secret unidentified flying object video is just an object that was picked up by air currents. UFOs are not a 20th century phenomenon. When we hear the word unidentified flying object, the 20th century immediately comes to mind. Roswell, movies, tinfoil hats. People saw unidentified objects long before television and aviation existed. We have documented cases dating back to ancient Rome. Chronicles recorded fiery shields, flying ships, strange beings descending from the sky, and even abductions in the clouds. Historians, monks, and officials, not fiction writers, recorded all this in the 4th century AD. The Roman chronicler Iuli Obsequentus describes dozens of such cases in his book Liber Pro Digiorum. Over Rome, they reportedly saw blazing spheres, glowing ships, and sky-descending beings. At the very least, that's how the eyewitnesses perceived it. Pliny the Elder also mentions a mysterious burning shield that hovered over the city during the Second Punic War. And this isn't the only case. Similar descriptions are found in the Chronicles of Ireland, China, and India. What was it? A coincidence in symbolism, mass hallucination? Or did we simply observe the same phenomenon just with different names in different eras? They were once gods, then angels, now aliens. And maybe the essence is the same. The greatest mystery of the world, underwater ruins of an ancient city, estimated to be 10,000 years old, have been found off Yonaguni Island in Japan. This pyramid-like complex, resembling a castle, temples, an arch, and a stadium, is linked by roads. In 2007, marine biologist Masaki Kimura described the main structure as a monolithic, stepped pyramid 25 meters high. He suggested that the structures were built by the Jomon people, who lived on these islands 14,000 years ago. However, Professor Robert Schoch from Boston University expressed the opinion that the Yonaguni Monument is a natural geological formation. It has been 37 years since the Japanese Atlantis was first discovered in 1986, but its origin is still shrouded in mystery. Kimura proposed the theory that it was part of the continent of Mu, lost due to a catastrophe. He also found stone carvings, including an underwater sphinx. Kobe University seismologist Toru Uchi backed Kimura's hypothesis and dismissed claims that the structures formed naturally. However, Professor Sho remains of his opinion, claiming that the structure is not man-made and its features are the result of natural processes. So the depths of the sea near Yonaguni continue to hold the mystery of these amazing structures, remaining a subject of debate and research among scientists. Meat mummification. Many have heard of Pharaoh Tutankhamun, but few know that he was buried with 48 boxes of beef and poultry. To provide the pharaoh with food in the afterlife, his burial preparations included supplies of food. A new study by archaeologists reveals interesting burial customs of ancient Egypt. It turns out that the meat buried with the pharaohs was mummified by treating it with special balms for preservation. This meat, called meat mummies, was common in Egyptian funerals. The oldest samples are over 5,000 years old, and the newest are from 1,600 years ago. The latest study included the analysis of 4 samples of meat mummies dated between 1,386 and 948 before Christ, which were found in the tombs of high-ranking individuals. Among the meat delicacies were cattle ribs, veal, and goat meat. Scientists analyzed the meat and its wrapping bandages chemically. They discovered that animal fat was used to coat the bandages of the goat and the calf, indicating its use as a preservative. However, the cattle ribs had traces of a complex balm made from fat or oil and pistachia tree resin, a luxury in ancient Egypt. About 600 years after it was used for mummifying meat, this balm began to be used for human mummies as well. The Turin shrouds linked to UFOs. This mysterious Christian relic draws attention from both religious groups and paranormal researchers, including ufologists. This 4-meter linen cloth contains the imprint of a human body, presumably crucified, which, according to legend, is associated with Jesus Christ. The relic is kept in the Turin Cathedral and sparks endless debates about its authenticity. From a scientific point of view, radiocarbon analysis indicates its medieval origin, but there are theories linking it to divine or even extraterrestrial intervention. The uniqueness of the image on the shroud is hard to explain. It wasn't painted with a brush, but looks like an imprint, resembling a photographic negative, which is incredible for the technology of that time. The connection with UFOs and extraterrestrial theories arises from the hypothesis that the shroud could have been the product of highly advanced technology. Ufologists claim that the process of creating this imprint could have been associated with the release of powerful energy or a light pulse, similar to modern laser technologies. Some believe that the resurrection of Jesus, accompanied by a miraculous event, could have been the result of intervention by extraterrestrial civilizations who shared their knowledge with humanity. However, these are just theories. The ghosts of Mammoth Cave. Mammoth Cave in Kentucky is among the largest underground systems globally, with roughly 500 kilometers of passages, and is also steeped in legends. Originally, the cave was used for mining saltpeter, and later it became a tourist attraction. Underground lakes, vast halls, and echoing labyrinths drew curious visitors from everywhere. However, the cave gained real fame thanks to stories about ghosts. Among visitors and workers, there are rumors that you can encounter the souls of deceased workers who once toiled in its depths. Tourists often report strange shadows, vague shapes, or unexplained voices from the darkness. There have been cases when entire groups claim to have seen ghostly figures that seem to be watching them from afar. Legends claim that these are the spirits of miners who died in accidents. These stories add even more mystery to the cave and attract not only nature lovers, but also seekers of the supernatural. Mammoth Cave remains a place where mysticism and history intertwine, creating a unique atmosphere. Alien artifacts on Earth. History keeps discoveries that don't fit any timeline. In Turkey, at the Göbekli Tepe temple complex, there are columns with carvings of animals and abstract symbols. They're about 12,000 years old. At that time, people didn't know agriculture or architecture, yet we see engineering and symbolism that remain partly undeciphered. Who built this complex, and why was it later buried, as if someone was trying to hide it? In South America, at Sacsayhuaman, giant stone blocks were fitted together so tightly that you can't even fit a blade between them. Stones weighing hundreds of tons are laid with perfect precision and with polygonal faces. Modern technology can barely replicate such joints. 500 years ago, the Incas referred to something as the technology of the gods. On the other side of the world, in Baalbek, Lebanon, there is a stone known as the Southern Megalith. Its weight exceeds 1,000 tons. No one has explained how ancient builders moved it, but the fact remains. This block was worked on and clearly meant for construction. The only question is by whose hands? Similar discoveries include the Ural metal spirals, the megalithic platforms of Tiahuanaco, and the perfectly drilled holes in the stones of Egypt, which give the impression of work done by high-precision machinery. Every culture has artifacts that seem to have been invented out of their time. Scientists explain this by primitive technologies, coincidence, and the play of nature. But why do these coincidences keep happening worldwide in different eras and cultures? The theory that these are traces of aliens is convenient, not because it's sensational, but because too many things start to fit into one picture. If these artifacts were left by others, their purpose might be simple: to show we are not the first. Everything we build now is just a faint echo of what existed thousands of years ago. Chichen Itza and its mysteries. Chichen Itza was of great importance to the Maya civilization as a political, economic, and religious center. This ancient city, located on the northern Yucatan Peninsula, was an important place for rituals and ceremonies related to the gods and astronomical phenomena. Eric von Däniken, known for his theories about ancient aliens, drew attention to the El Castillo Pyramid, the Temple of Kukulkan, in his research. He suggested that the precision of the architectural and astronomical elements of the pyramid could indicate contact between the Maya and extraterrestrial civilizations. Däniken noted that pyramids like El Castillo might have been built using technologies unknown to modern scientists. The symbolic meaning of the light show on the steps of the El Castillo Pyramid during the equinox is connected to the cult worship of the god Kukulkan. On the days of the spring and autumn equinox, sunlight creates the illusion of a serpent descending the steps of the pyramid. This phenomenon was interpreted as the return of Kukulkan to Earth, which confirmed the importance of Mayan astronomical knowledge and their ability to design architecture in harmony with the movement of celestial bodies. The Maya believed in the return of the god Kukulkan, the feathered serpent who symbolized rebirth and renewal. This belief was based on ancient myths and texts such as the Popol Vuh and the Maya codices, which described the cyclical nature of time and the return of the gods at certain moments in history. Kukulkan was a major deity linked to wind, water, and fertility, making his worship especially important to the agrarian Maya society. Modern archaeologists see these findings as proof of advanced Maya astronomy and engineering. They believe the pyramids and other structures at Chichen Itza were built using complex math and observations of celestial movements. The gears of mystery. The oldest computer on the planet, the Antikythera mechanism, it felt like an Indiana Jones movie. Bronze wheels, a handle, dials, and a clips, ancient National Aeronautics and Space Administration in a box. But a recent 3D simulation literally broke the legend down to its teeth. Scientists recreated every gear with micron-level precision and ran the virtual device through a full calendar cycle. The result was shocking. After 4 months of use, the teeth caught, the load rose, and by month 6, the digital copy jammed. The error isn't in the software. The model takes into account all casting defects, the pitch of the teeth, and the axle play measured on the real artifact. If the numbers are accurate, the original mechanism couldn't reliably predict eclipses years ahead, contrary to enthusiasts' claims. The tabletop planetarium toy now seems more believable. The owner would turn the handle to show the sun and moon moving. That's enough to impress an elite audience, but not for a priest astronomer's daily calculations. There's another option. Bronze lay underwater for 2,000 years. Corrosion removed tiny layers, disrupting perfect synchronization. If so, the original device worked perfectly, and this is just its rusted screenshot. To test the hypothesis, engineers must create a copy with even teeth and rerun the chronomarathon. Despite ongoing debates, the Antikythera mechanism remains as puzzling as a Rubik's Cube. Only its age has enhanced its mystique. We either underrate ancient engineers or overrate our urge to find advanced tech in every mystery. The mystery of the floating stones. India is always shrouded in mysteries and enigmas. In any corner of it, you can encounter something amazing and incredible. Many people come here for new experiences, to discover unknown spiritual abilities within themselves. Once you've visited this amazing country, it's impossible to forget it. One of the mysteries of India is the levitating stones in the small village of Shivapur, which is located 200 kilometers from Bombay. Near the local temple, there are several boulders that weigh more than 50 kilograms. According to the locals, these stones can rise into the air. To lift the first heavier stone, 11 men are needed. They have to stand around it and say certain words. After that, the stone begins to levitate, and it can be supported with just one finger. The smaller boulder requires 9 men to lift it. There is also a third stone weighing over 60 kilograms, which can only be lifted by the temple monks. The origin of these stones is mysterious. Some believe they were sent by the gods, while others think they broke off from a nearby cliff. A local caretaker says the stones sometimes crack, so he replaces them with new ones by breaking them off the cliff. But even the new stones retain their flying properties. Some scientists suggest that ancient people were able to move objects with the power of their minds, like during the construction of the Egyptian pyramids. Perhaps the knowledge of levitation was lost, but sometimes it resurfaces in places like Shivapur. Interestingly, in the last century, Edvard Lidskalnin, an immigrant from Latvia, used similar methods to build his coral castle in Florida, which only confirms the existence of such knowledge. These unexplained phenomena support the hypothesis of extraterrestrial influence on ancient civilizations, suggesting that some technologies or methods may have been passed on to humanity by beings from other worlds. And fakes. One of the most sensational stories is the so-called Roswell alien autopsy. The video shows a strange creature with a huge head on a table as doctors pull something from it. In the 90s, the video aired on television to millions, and most believed it, but it was later revealed as staged. Ray Santilli, the video's creator, later admitted the film is a recreation and claimed the real footage is lost. But he still claims that he saw the original, and the footage matches what was shown to CIA employees. Interestingly, even after the forgery was confessed, people still believed it. Now, this fragment is being sold as a non-fungible token for $1 million. Why? What does a fake offer? It delivers the essentials: buzz, attention, belief, and money. The more buzz there is, the harder it is to see the truth, and the easier speculation replaces reality. Here's the question: if lies also strengthen belief, who is blurring the line between facts and fakes, and why? The two-headed alien. A strange mummy with 2 heads was discovered in Tibet, and it was immediately dubbed the two-headed alien. This artifact shocked scientists and mysticism enthusiasts. The mummy looks as if its origin goes beyond Earth, which gives rise to many theories, from mutations to extraterrestrial civilizations. Some researchers believe that it could be a ritual artifact or cult image created by ancient people to worship unknown forces. Interestingly, the structure of the mummy looks unusual even for mutations known in biology. The proportions of its body and the shape of its head suggest that it could have been the embodiment of something mythical or otherworldly. Ancient Tibetan legends often mention celestial beings who visited the earth. Perhaps this artifact is an attempt to depict those whom the ancients considered gods. However, there is also a more down-to-earth version. The mummy may be the result of artificial mummification of 2 different bodies, joined together for ritual purposes. Missions that are not talked about. Space is officially transparent. National Aeronautics and Space Administration and European Space Agency missions are announced ahead of time, with launch dates, routes, and objectives publicized. In reality, gaps in space exploration history remain unexplained and overlooked. Archives mention spacecraft kept from the public, launched from military test sites without press releases or television coverage. Officially, they were communication or atmospheric reconnaissance satellites. Sometimes odd lines show up in the documents looking for anomalies and noting unknown sources. In the 70s, the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics supposedly launched devices that were supposed to photograph the dark side of the moon in high resolution, but the results were classified. There was discussion in the United States of America about sending separate reconnaissance probes to Mars, not to look for water, but for objects. Why are all these missions kept so secret? If they found nothing, they could have just shown the emptiness. If the data was classified, it means something important changed the game, and it's still hidden in boxes labeled classified. And the question arises, maybe we already know much more about life in the universe than we think. It's just that this information is carefully controlled. Stella Mirneptaka. The long enslavement of the Jews by the Egyptians and their subsequent exodus from Egypt is one of the most complicated chapters in the history of ancient Egypt. Although archaeological evidence of this event is limited, every discovery is of great significance. Some claim there's no evidence Jews were in Egypt during the Exodus, but this isn't true. The most well-known evidence is the stele of Pharaoh Merneptah, discovered in Thebes in 1896. It refers to the military achievements of Merneptah and contains the earliest mention of Israel. The stele defines Israel not as a state, but as a people in conflict with Egypt. This is interesting because Merneptah descended from Ramses II, possibly the pharaoh in the book of Exodus. The Bible says the Jewish Exodus began the formation of Jewish statehood. Merneptah could have witnessed the emergence of Egyptian domination in the region, which later weakened under Ramses VI. During this period, the new state was formed mainly by migrants from southern Italy, the Aegean Sea, and western Anatolia. The mention of Israel may confirm the biblical version of the Israelites returning to their land from the south. Charles Ford and the Hunt for Anomalies. When you look at the sky and see something unexplainable, you're not alone. 100 years ago, there was a man who dedicated his life to exactly such moments. His name was Charles Ford. He wasn't looking for proof, he was collecting oddities. Everything that didn't fit into science, rains of fish, flashes of light in the sky, people disappearing, reports of mysterious objects. He didn't explain, just wrote it down, knowing the facts can be scarier than any theory. Ford didn't believe in science or religion since both ignored inconvenient things, which is where the most interesting stuff exists. He used to say, between facts and fantasy, there's a zone where anything is possible, and that zone is real. We just don't know how to look there. His books were secretly read, as if forbidden. His ideas inspired many movies and television shows. From The Twilight Zone to The X-Files, he was the first to show anomalies. This isn't nonsense, just a misunderstood reality. You don't have to believe, just don't close your eyes. Now millions carry on his work. Whenever someone posts online about seeing a glowing object hovering and vanishing in the sky, this is Fordianism, a culture where something strange is a reason to investigate, not to reject. But there's also a downside. We doubt more and rarely know what to believe. And this is no longer just a hunt for anomalies, it's already a symptom. The Black Knight satellite. It's said the mysterious Black Knight has observed our planet for 13,000 years. The legend includes Nikola Tesla's 1899 radio echo, a 1954 article on two unknown satellites, and a 1998 STS-88 shuttle photo. A coal-black triangle hangs over Earth, resembling an extraterrestrial sentinel in polar orbit. But every piece of the puzzle turned out to have an earthly explanation. Echo signals result from ionospheric variations. The 1954 satellites were journalistic exaggerations. The sinister silhouette in National Aeronautics and Space Administration footage is actually a thermal insulation blanket lost by astronauts, cataloged as debris 025570, which burned up in the atmosphere days later. Still, the myth endures. Whenever an amateur telescope spots space debris, the night shadow appears in the night sky, showing how a piece of foil can become a keeper of alien secrets. The unfinished Aswan project. In a granite quarry near Aswan lies a giant unfinished obelisk, almost 42 meters long and weighing about 1,200 tons. The craftsmen had leveled the sides. Only cutting the slab below and moving it to the Nile remained. A crack formed in the stone, so the work stopped. The tool marks are visible to the naked eye, long grooves as if made by a modern cutter, and round indentations where the rock was chipped away with pounding blows. Mystery enthusiasts are convinced only a diamond saw or a beam of unknown energy could make such a smooth cut. The temple builders had technology lost with Atlantis. Archaeologists have a simpler answer. The Egyptians used spherical dolerite hammers. After thousands of strikes, the hard dolerite would drive the quartz grains of the granite in, leaving a smooth groove. Then, wooden wedges were inserted into the groove and soaked with water. The swollen wood would expand and split off a slab. Gentle vibrations created smooth lines like those of a modern chisel. Calculations show a team of 100 stonemasons could free a block in a few months. A crack made it unusable, halting the project. Today, the unfinished piece sits like a museum exhibit, preserving Pharaoh's ambitions and Bronze Age technologies. Some view it as proof of lost knowledge, others as an ancient engineering manual. But both views agree on one thing: to move such a giant, it took not a miracle, but precise calculation and more than just human patience. Fragments of alien technology. Professor Avi Loeb from Harvard University suggests that he found particles of extraterrestrial technology in a meteorite that fell in 2014 off the coast of Papua New Guinea. These fragments were delivered to Harvard for research, and the United States Space Force Command confirmed with a probability of 99.999% that the material came from another solar system. Loeb and his team visited the meteorite impact site aboard the Silver Star. They discovered 10 spherules, metallic balls colored gold, blue, and brown, some of which resembled miniature Earths. Analysis showed that the spherules contained 84% iron, 8% silicon, 4% magnesium, and 2% titanium. Loeb noted these materials are stronger than any space rocks. National Aeronautics and Space Administration has recorded and traveled at 60 kilometers per second, faster than 95% of stars near the Sun. These results suggest a possible artificial origin of the spherules, which could provide unique insight into materials beyond our solar system. The researcher suggests that the spherules may be part of a larger discovery, which they plan to investigate in future expeditions. Signals from the depths of the galaxy. In 1977, the Big Ear radio telescope picked up a signal that lasted only 72 seconds. The scientist who noticed it wrote one word on the printout: wow. And to this day, no one has explained where it came from. Today, we detect hundreds of fast radio bursts, FRBs, which last fractions of a second yet release more energy than an entire galaxy. Sometimes they repeat as if someone on the other end is trying to make contact. Scientists call these anomalous natural phenomena, but the truth is we don't know their source. And if it's not nature, then who is knocking on our door right now from across billions of light years? The discovery of Noah's Ark. In 1959, Captain İlkan Durupinar, while working on aerial photography for NATO in Turkey, made an unexpected discovery. At an altitude of 2,000 meters, he noticed unusual geological formations, resembling the outlines of a huge ship. This discovery sparked a lot of debate and speculation that the remains found could be Noah's Ark. The discovery drew interest from scientists and adventurers. Despite numerous expeditions and subsequent research, definitive evidence confirming the biblical story of the Ark has yet to be found. However, this region continues to be a subject of scientific interest. In support of the possibility of real events such as the biblical flood, geological studies in the Black Sea region have shown that about 6,000 years ago, a catastrophic flooding did indeed occur. This could have been caused by the massive melting of glaciers, which led to a significant rise in global sea levels. Clay tablets from the same period were also found in Mesopotamia. One of these tablets describes the story of a great flood and the rescue of various animal species on a ship, which has notable parallels with the story of Noah from the Bible. These findings suggest that the themes of global catastrophes and salvation on a ship may have deep historical roots running through many cultures and civilizations. We've been watched for a long time. If we are searching for signals, it makes sense to assume that someone might be searching for us as well. But what if they have already found us long ago? In 2020, a group of astronomers published a study that changed the very way the question was posed. Scientists from Cornell University studied the surroundings of Earth and identified 1,400 star systems, from which it is possible to observe our planet passing across the disk of the Sun. They would view Earth as we view exoplanets. Their main conclusion is simple. If there is intelligent life in one of these systems, they might already know that we are here. Moreover, 508 of these star systems are positioned so Earth would be visible against the Sun's background for over 10 hours straight. That's enough to detect an atmosphere with oxygen, methane, and possibly signs of life. They might have detected us millennia ago, observed and waited, and perhaps already sent a signal that's still traveling. The Network Project is a global network of radio telescopes tracking anomalies and signals from deep space. We've monitored thousands of systems, but only silence remains. Modern scientists are cautious, not skeptical. People no longer mock those who suggest we aren't alone, since billions of potentially habitable planets exist. This discovery changed history. The Nebra Sky Disk, created 3,600 years ago, still remains one of the most mysterious archaeological discoveries. Added to the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization Memory of the World Register, in 2013, this artifact stands out for its design and advanced manufacturing technology. Recent studies conducted in Germany have shown that the disk was made using hot forging in 10 stages. Each stage involved heating the metal to 700 degrees and processing it to relieve stress. This data was obtained using modern methods such as X-ray spectroscopy and microstructural analysis. Attempts to reproduce the technology have shown that the ancient original methods surpassed modern processing techniques. The Nebra Sky Disk is a unique artifact and proof of the era's advanced metallurgical knowledge. The Indonesian Star Path. In 1992, geologist Castillo made a discovery that still causes shock. In the Kapanga province, Indonesia, he was exploring the Devil's Cave in the mountains and discovered an unusual stone. Engraved on its fracture were mysterious symbols resembling a star path map. The markings on the stone are strikingly similar to the images from the plaques sent by National Aeronautics and Space Administration into space with the Pioneer 10 and Pioneer 11 probes in the 1970s. The stone depicts a man and a woman holding hands, as well as the sun, stars, and lines resembling roots. Geologists claimed that the stone was worked on hundreds of thousands of years ago. This casts doubt on its earthly origin, since people at that time supposedly could not have possessed such knowledge. Conspiracy theorists suggest that aliens received the message from the Pioneer probe, but made a miscalculation and ended up on Earth hundreds of thousands of years ago. Perhaps they got stuck here and left their mark in the form of this stone. Another theory says that the stone could have been created by a highly developed civilization that existed in Indonesia long before our era. The map shows a star system with 1 star and 7 planets, closely resembling the solar system. While scientists now recognize 8 planets, Neptune was once thought to be an asteroid. Whoever built the mysterious stone, their knowledge of the stars still amazes modern science. Shiva Lingam. In the city of Sirsi in India, there is a unique pilgrimage site, Sahasralinga. Here, amidst natural beauty, there are stone images of Shiva Lingam that amaze with their appearance, especially during the festival of Mahashivaratri. When the river's water level drops, sculptures appear, drawing thousands of pilgrims and tourists who come to see and worship the sacred lingams. Shiva Lingam is a symbol of Shiva, one of the main deities in Hinduism, representing the source of creation and destruction. Interestingly, debates about the Shiva Lingam are both religious and scientific. Some proponents of the ancient astronaut theory claim that the Shiva Lingam could represent a powerful technological device, similar in function to a modern nuclear reactor. Based on the shape and properties of the lingam, they suggest that ancient people might have used advanced technologies. On the other hand, modern scientists may interpret the Shiva Lingam as a symbol of atomic energy, which also has the potential for both great benefit and destruction. This analogy highlights the dual nature of Shiva, who in the Hindu tradition is both a creator and a destroyer at the same time. Fiery teachers. In the iconography of different eras and peoples, There is a strange coincidence. The figures of gods, prophets, and teachers of humanity are almost always surrounded by a radiance. Egyptians had solar discs above their heads. Maya had flame-shaped halos. Byzantine icons feature golden circles around faces, while in India there are full auras of fire. The official version sounds simple. It's a symbol of divinity, holiness, and inner light. But too many details make you think. Mesopotamian reliefs show gods in ray-emitting garments. In Peruvian frescoes, radiance appears as straight lines, resembling rays from a light source. And in the text, it's sometimes stated directly, they shone so brightly that people couldn't look at them. Is this describing an aura or actual light from objects like lamps or helmets? In some images, the rays come from an object resembling a helmet or mask, not the head. The Sumerian gods have enlarged eyes, as if behind a transparent visor. In Indian descriptions, the gods descend in shining shells where their bodies are not burned by the heat. To us, this sounds like spacesuits. Combining these fragments gives a different picture. The fiery teachers could have been real beings who descended to people in protective suits and with sources of light. For ancient people, it was a miracle. For us, it's technology. The cave devil. This sinister face, known as the cave devil, looks at visitors from the wall of one of the famous Hellfire caves in West Wycombe in the southeast of Britain. The caves were created by hand in the 18th century, and their history is closely connected with the Hellfire Club, a society founded by the eccentric aristocrat Sir Francis Dashwood. The club included elite members who gathered for mysterious rituals and, according to rumors, black masses. After Dashwood's death, the club ceased to exist, and the caves were abandoned. However, in the mid-20th century, they were turned into a tourist attraction, drawing in the curious and adventure seekers. Among the winding passages and dark halls, tourists often come across this carved image, suddenly emerging from the cave's darkness, which often truly frightens them. Although the true purpose of creating this devilish mask remains unknown, it fuels legends about the dark secrets of the Hellfire Club. Hundreds of witnesses, but only a few believe. We're used to thinking that all encounters with UFOs are just stories from individuals. Someone saw something, someone thought they saw something, but history also knows of mass sightings and official investigations. For example, the Fatima apparitions in Portugal in 1917. Tens of thousands witnessed the sun dance in the sky, changing color and size. The church called it a miracle. But ufologists think differently. The descriptions of the events suspiciously resemble the behavior of UFOs. Or the case in Knock, Ireland, 19th century. People witnessed in large numbers how shining figures appeared near the church, hanging in the air, and again a religious explanation. Jacques Vallée, a well-known ufologist, cites these cases as typical examples of external intelligence influencing the human psyche. He does not deny that the phenomena are real. He simply asks the question, why do they repeat but in different forms? If in the past people saw the Virgin Mary, today they see gray humanoids, and tomorrow maybe they will see something else. Mystical figurines. These unusual figurines from the ancient Mexican city of Teotihuacan are rare examples of the art and worldview of Aztec culture, discovered in 1933 in the Metepec area by an American anthropologist. The figurines depict men and women with hollow opening torsos. Inside, there are smaller figurines or objects which has sparked much debate about their meaning and purpose. These figurines are often called hosts due to their unusual contents, specifically the hollow in the chest. Symbolically, the door is closed, which hints at hidden knowledge, a secret meaning, or the concept of the inner self. Perhaps these figurines embody the philosophical concept of the Nahual, an inner spirit or companion that accompanied a person in their spiritual quests and on the path of life. Some interpretations link the figurines to fertility, nurturing, or spiritual growth symbols. They may have represented social or religious roles, a warrior, ruler, merchant, or elite woman from Teotihuacan. The intricate detailing in the figurines' open and close feature highlight the creator's exceptional craftsmanship. This unique design may have symbolized the interaction between the inner and outer worlds, as well as the desire to reveal hidden truths about the nature of humans and the world. 700 years of solitude. In mystical Tibet, the Ritro Temple, over 700 years old, sits on a hill on an island in a lake. According to local traditions, only one monk should live here to preserve harmony. This secluded temple, whose name translates from Tibetan as stone on the mountain, stands out with its bright color against the calming shades of Tibet. Among the legends of the temple, there is one about a stone capable of healing diseases. But despite this power, only one monk lives near the stone, and pilgrims are not welcome here. That's why this place becomes even more mysterious. The sacred lake Yamdrok, on whose shore the temple stands, is one of the 3 sacred lakes of Tibet. The locals believe that it is unacceptable to live there in large groups, so as not to disturb its purity. The current monk, Awang Pinko, continues the tradition of solitude, passed down to him by his predecessors. When he dies, the world won't know right away. Another monk seeking total solitude will replace him. A monk spends his days meditating and caring for himself. Daily, he descends the mountain to fetch water in heavy buckets. If he ever stops coming, it will mean he has passed away. His solitude is a symbol of the strength of faith, showing that only meditation helps keep the mind pure. A 15-million-year-old fossil. Emily Bezdik, a volunteer at the Calvert Marine Museum, discovered a unique fossil of a dolphin-like creature that lived about 15 million years ago on a beach in Maryland, SCA. The discovery was made during a walk on the beach, where the woman found a part of a skull that was 76 centimeters long and weighed about 23 kilograms. Stephen Groff, a museum staff member, studied the fossil and identified it as belonging to an extinct species of marine animals, similar to dolphins, that lived in the sea covering Maryland millions of years ago. These creatures had an extended rostrum for hunting and reached lengths of 3.5 to 4.5 meters. They lived during the Miocene epoch 12 to 20 million years ago. The reasons for their extinction remain unknown. The fossilized skull will be displayed at the Calvert Marine Museum, where scientists will continue to study it. Did the first battle with the aliens already happen? On August 26, 1946, an American scientific expedition set out for the South Pole. It was led by naval officer and explorer Admiral Richard Byrd, who had participated in World War I. The expedition involved 13 ships, 33 airplanes, and nearly 5,000 soldiers of the United States Navy. The group under the Admiral's command returned only after 9 months, reporting that they had to engage in combat with remnants of the Third Reich and possibly extraterrestrials. Flying objects attacked the expedition and caused major damage to the Americans. Byrd stated in his report that he saw an unidentified device capable of moving at incredible speed, almost instantly changing its position. Despite his high status, the Admiral's statements then seemed like fiction. However, in 2018, a satellite image made it possible to see a contrail left by something moving at incredible speed. The trail spanned the globe, linking the South and North Poles over roughly 20,000 kilometers. The trail keeps its shape for up to 30 minutes, but most of it fades after just 15. Based on the data obtained, it can be said that the object that left the contrail was moving at a speed of at least 80,000 kilometers per hour, which is 10 times faster than the speed of the fastest airplane that existed at that time. Remote viewing. Project Stargate is a secret program launched by the CIA in the 1970s to study and apply the phenomenon of remote viewing, also known as distant perception. Remote viewing is a person's ability to obtain information about distant or inaccessible objects, places, or events without using ordinary sensory means. Project Stargate was created to explore the possibility of using this ability for intelligence purposes, including the study of UFOs. The project used various methods such as hypnosis, meditation, and other techniques to put participants into an altered state of consciousness where they could receive information. These methods were used to study UFOs and search for signs of extraterrestrial activity. One of the key participants in the project was Pat Price, a former police officer who had exceptional abilities in the field of remote viewing. Pat Price made several important discoveries. especially regarding objects under Mount Hayes in Alaska. He claimed that he saw an underground base there, operated by aliens, and described detailed structures and technologies that were supposedly located at this base. These claims sparked a lot of interest and debate among researchers. Some documents in the CIA contain references to such bases and confirmed that Price provided information that was partially corroborated by other intelligence sources. However, no direct and unequivocal evidence of the existence of an alien base has been found, and many aspects of these claims remain controversial. Remote viewing is used for reconnaissance and research of UFOs, allowing information to be obtained about locations that cannot be explored by traditional methods. For example, remote viewers can describe the internal structures of spacecraft or bases that are inaccessible to physical observation. The death of Pat Price in 1975, under mysterious circumstances, adds elements of danger to the work of remote viewers. Price's death gave rise to numerous speculations and conspiracy theories, suggesting that he might have been eliminated because of his knowledge and abilities. The Wolfsegg Iron Cube, Austria, 1885. A worker splits a piece of brown coal, and from the black lump rolls out a tiny iron cube with even edges and grooves, as if made by a lathe. The newspapers instantly dubbed the find a bolt from the Stone Age, since the coal was found in layers estimated to be over 20 million years old. The cube was sent to the Salzburg Museum, where it was found to be cast iron with high carbon and slag, not pure iron. The alloy is typical of 19th century blast furnaces. A small tail marks the spot where molten metal exited the casting mold. Under the microscope, the surface has porous, chambered rust like blast furnace slag. A piece of waste accidentally got into the coal cart and went down into the seam with it. Visitors note that the cube's nearly perfect surfaces and geometry are too precise to be a random fragment. What if it's a part of an unknown mechanism that nature hid deep within the rock? Mars Archives. People talk about Mars a lot, but there's a strange coincidence. Almost all ancient peoples mention the red star in their legends as a place where gods lived or where they came from. The Sumerians linked it to the god of war, Indian epics to heavenly chariots, and Egyptians called it the place of wanderers. Modern researchers add fuel to the fire. Back in the 70s, rumors reached Earth about secret orbital photos that supposedly showed the ruins of cities. Officially, these photos were never published, and the ones available today raise new questions. Mars looks like a huge library, its pages filled with billions of years of history. We only see the cover. Volgograd discs. Mysterious stone discs were found in the Medveditskaya Ridge, an anomalous zone in Russia's Volgograd region. The find consisted of 6 large round objects, the largest of which reaches 4 meters in diameter. Researchers claim that the structure of the discs is astonishing. Their composition includes tungsten, a rare refractory metal used in modern industry and space technology. Ufologists suggest these strange objects might be ancient spacecraft remains that fell to Earth thousands of years ago and eventually turned to stone. Similar discoveries, resembling flying saucers, only fuel theories about ancient aliens who visited our planet. An alternative hypothesis attributes the disk's origin to natural erosion and concretions. Geologists think these stone formations may have formed from high pressure and mineral deposits over millions of years. However, the perfectly round shape and the presence of tungsten remain unexplained to this day. The Ark of the Covenant. In Axum, Ethiopia, locals say the true Ark of the Covenant is guarded behind the Church of St. Mary's thick walls, a gold-plated acacia box, 2 carrying poles, and a lid with winged figures. Only one guardian monk may enter the sanctuary. Pilgrims only see a dark silhouette under a cover and hear stories about lightning striking those who touch it without a blessing. Some enthusiasts interpret the Ark's description as a primitive electrical device. A gold-covered wooden box resembles a capacitor, and the ornate wings on top could be seen as contacts. In our time, people have even tried to create similar models, and they really did produce a weak voltage from accumulated static charge. Skeptics disagree. In terms of its size, the Ark is no different from an ordinary portable box for scrolls, and the sparks that pilgrims talk about could very well have been caused by static electricity in the dry mountain air. These theories can't be verified yet, since no one has opened the relic and X-rays or wood analysis are forbidden. While debates continue, there could be a simple reliquary behind the closed door, or possibly an unknown device. A rare Chinese bottle. In the city of Xinjiang, China, archaeologists made a unique discovery during excavations at the Piligan site. They found an unusual bottle that is over 7,000 years old. This artifact became the oldest item of its kind ever found on Chinese territory. The bottle is a rare artifact with an unusual shape, a small neck, and a pointed bottom. These vessels are traditionally linked to the Yangshao culture, one of China's oldest. There are many theories regarding their purpose. Some suggest they were used for collecting or storing water, while others believe they might have been tools of ancient brewers. Other late Paleolithic artifacts were also found at the Piligan site, including fragments of ostrich eggshell and red iron ore. A cube-shaped, unidentified flying object frightened the pilot. In February 2020, an airplane on a routine flight in Colombia encountered an unusual airborne object. While at an altitude of over 9 kilometers, the captain took his mobile phone to film a metallic object moving in a straight line. The object, resembling a cube, has nothing in common with a balloon or any other objects capable of being at such an altitude. The plane's distance from the object is unknown, so its estimated diameter ranges from 3 to 5 meters. Scientists believe extraterrestrial civilizations avoid direct contact with humanity out of fear of confrontation. The object caught on camera could be similar to a scout that ended up on Earth to observe us from a distance. It's possible that the aliens are studying us and slowly preparing to visit our planet. Time will reveal if this is true. However, the experts who evaluated the video never reached a consensus. The object has no wings and leaves no trail behind, which means it's not a man-made device. Skeptics suggest that the metallic cube is just a balloon that expanded at an altitude of more than 9 kilometers. But physicists are convinced that the low temperature would not have allowed it to rise that high. Mycenian gold. In 2004, archaeologists opened an untouched Tholos tomb at Kazanaki near Volos, offering a rare glimpse of a Mycenian luxury set in its original state. On the stone floor lay 7 burials, and between them were scattered 165 gold items, tiny discs, tubes, embossed beads, and weapon parts. Many plates are less than a millimeter thick. Craftsmen used 10 grams of metal to hammer out 200 mini sun discs, sewing them onto fabric to create reflective armor. The jewelry's main trait is its extreme fragility. Made with minimal copper to keep its shine, the gold has purposely unreinforced edges. Such an outfit was not worn in life. It was created for a single occasion, the funeral ceremony. Complex items like rings and dagger handles show the opposite. Gold is only a thin shell. The base was bronze or wood with foil on top and joints hidden by granulation and cloisonné enamel. This way, the luxury is preserved visually, while the metal is saved physically. This discovery showed that in the late Bronze Age, gold was more than currency. It symbolized power. Thinner sheets create a stronger visual impact and clearer message for future generations. Our family could afford to shine, even if there weren't really enough resources for it. Petrified soldiers. How would you react if I said an unidentified flying object was shot down in the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics and 23 soldiers were turned to stone? No, this isn't science fiction. It's from a declassified CIA document archived after the Soviet Union collapsed. Location unknown, late 80s. Soviet troops conduct exercises when a disc-shaped object appears low in the sky. They fire once, shooting it down. The craft crashes near the base. Minutes later, 5 beings emerge. They're short, with disproportionately large heads and black eyes. They merge into a single entity. A high-pitched buzz sounds, a flash occurs, and everyone nearby turns to stone, except 2 survivors in the shadow. The report says the soldiers' remains and ship wreckage were later taken to a classified scientific base near Moscow. researchers reportedly discovered that the body's structure resembled limestone, as if their molecules had been rewritten. Official science, of course, will call this nonsense, but in the CIA document, it's written in black and white. If this is true, we're dealing with beings that possess technologies beyond our understanding. Traces of fire under the megaliths. Under many ancient megalithic structures, archaeologists find charred layers. But these are not remnants of campfires. The temperature was too high for ordinary people to create. The stones are melted in places as if they were exposed to plasma or a powerful energy source. In Pumapunku and Tiwanaku in Bolivia, there are marks on the basalt slabs as if they were cut with a red-hot tool. In Egypt, melted edges of blocks are recorded where there should be neither fire nor volcanism. Scientists attribute this to random natural processes, but the temperature was beyond any natural fire. There are too many coincidences, as if ancient times used energy like modern plasma cutting or stronger. Then the megaliths stop being tombs or ritual structures. It becomes evidence of work with technologies that people simply didn't have. A massive creature with many legs. Scientists have created an amazing reconstruction of the appearance of Arthropleura, a giant millipede that lived on Earth 300 million years ago. This creature was about 2.6 meters long, half a meter wide, and weighed around 50 kilograms, making it the largest millipede that ever lived. Arthropleura fossils were first found 170 years ago, but a complete skeleton was discovered just 5 years ago, which let scientists from the University of Leicester and the University of Bristol better understand this creature's anatomy. Experts suggest that the high level of oxygen in the atmosphere at that time contributed to the gigantic size not only of Arthropleura, but also of other arthropods, such as giant dragonflies and cockroaches. Ancient millipedes, like their modern descendants, were almost blind and had only basic vision, enough to navigate different light levels. Geoglyphs depicting cats. In Peru, archaeologists have discovered 29 previously unknown geoglyphs. These ancient earth drawings found near the city of Ica depict cats and human figures. Researchers note that the geoglyphs date back to the period between 300 before Christ and 100 AD, which dates to the Paracas and Nazca cultures. With the help of drones, archaeologists were able to spot 10 geoglyphs, with cat figures measuring 17 by 12 meters and 8 images of cats measuring 37 by 13 meters. The remaining images depict anthropomorphic figures. Scientists believe that for the ancient inhabitants of Paracas, cats were associated with water and fertility, and they worshiped them as deities. In 2020, a cat figure 37 meters long, which is more than 2,000 years old, was found on the Nazca Plateau. As you can see, cats were loved and valued not just in ancient Egypt. Battle axe Fiscum. At first glance, it looks like a black obsidian boomerang, but this is an elite battle axe from the late Neolithic era. In the 1780s, a fisherman from Norway's Lake Fiscum caught it in his net. It weighed exactly 700 grams of solid basalt, smooth like polished marble. The dating is 2850 to 2350 before Christ. The artifact is attributed to the battle axe culture. The perfect symmetry stands out. The blade is elongated like a boat's keel. The hole for the handle was drilled from both sides with stone tubular drills, an operation that took days. Why so much effort? Axes with chipped edges are rarely found. They were rarely used as weapons and were more likely status symbols. Holding it, everyone sees you have a rare material crafted by distant artisans. Polishing it to a mirror shine is a whole different story. Basalt was polished with quartz sands until it developed a glossy finish. Thus, the axe became a black mirror, which one theory says was used in rituals. The sun's reflection lit up the owner's face, highlighting his bond with the heavens. The Fiscum axe is now at Oslo's Museum of Cultural History. Under the glass, it resembles a modern designer object. But remember, this blade is 5,000 years old. Satellite data. Modern satellite images available through various internet platforms, such as Google Earth, show possible entrances to underground bases in Antarctica. One such example is images that show strange holes in the ice sheet, resembling artificial structures. Satellite images have also been discovered on South Georgia Island, which, according to some researchers, indicate a possible unidentified flying object crash. One such image was found on Google Earth and shows an object resembling a crashed spacecraft. The image sparked interest among ufologists and internet researchers, who suggested that it could be debris of extraterrestrial origin. Some of these objects have unusual shapes and sizes that are difficult to explain by natural processes. The alleged unidentified flying object on South Georgia Island is often compared to the interstellar object Oumuamua, which attracted the attention of scientists in 2017. Oumuamua, discovered as the first known interstellar object passing through the solar system, has an unusual shape and trajectory that does not match the characteristics of ordinary asteroids or comets. This has led to hypotheses that it could be an alien probe or spacecraft. Military abductions and hidden bases. Thousands of stories with hundreds of memoirs, and they're all about one thing. Contact has already happened, but not in front of everyone, not live on air. It happened secretly under top secret classification. One of the most discussed cases is the story of Charles James Hall, a veteran of the United States Air Force who served at Nellis Base in Nevada. He claims that he worked side by side with extraterrestrials, whites, grays, even Nordics, tall humanoids who looked like humans. According to him, the whites could live up to 700 years, and the contact was official at the level of technology exchange. Another account claims that CCA authorities let extraterrestrials temporarily stay on Earth for technology exchange. A deal in the style of the Cold War, you give us, we give you. But what exactly did people give away? Genetic material, permission for abduction? Yes, abduction. In the 1960s, stories of nighttime visits, exams, implants, and strange dreams spread across the United States of America and Europe, leaving scars and fragmented memories. Many abductees weren't fanatics or ufologists, but doctors, military personnel, and engineers, people who suddenly knew too much. Today, these stories are mocked or dismissed. But one fact remains: the number of witnesses is too great to simply dismiss them as imagination. The government is secretly contacting extraterrestrials. Recently, statements about UFOs have surfaced, including from Mexico, where they allegedly found alien remains. It turned out these were just dummies, but rumors about UFOs continue to spread online. Some people believe the planet is controlled by mysterious forces, while others see it as a distraction from real problems. Interest in UFOs was also fueled by former Rear Admiral VMS Chief of Staff of the Army Tim Galladay, who claimed that the United States government is connected to a non-human intelligence. He says this is being kept quiet to conceal top-secret technologies that could offer a military edge. He urges disclosure of information on contact with non-human intelligence. On the other hand, Elon Musk is skeptical about the idea of the existence of aliens in our part of the galaxy. He believes that in the next couple of hundred years, humanity will not be able to reach distant cosmic distances, and that aliens are unlikely to be interested in a small planet on the outskirts of the galaxy. Musk believes human consciousness is unique and must be preserved. Statements from influential figures boost unidentified flying object interest, despite lacking solid evidence. Surprisingly, people in ancient times were fascinated by alien objects and saw UFOs and aliens everywhere. As the saying goes, there's no smoke without fire, so it's impossible to be 100% sure that there are no alien objects or beings on our planet. It's impossible. What do you think? Share your opinion in the video comments. Could the United States government nowadays have any contact with extraterrestrial life? A prehistoric cemetery in the Arctic. Finnish archaeologists found a 6,500-year-old ancient cemetery 80 kilometers south of the Arctic Circle. It turned out to be 3 times larger than previously thought, and is one of the largest in Europe. Due to the acidity of the soil, human remains have not been preserved, but researchers have determined that about 120 people were buried here. Early excavations in Teniaro, Lapland, in the 1980s and 1990s revealed about 40 graves. However, the latest work in 2018 showed that there were many more burials. Archaeologist Aki Hakkanen noted that Stone Age graves often contain red ochre, which is lacking in Tiniaro. Ochre was used for Neolithic rituals like burials. Only 23 pits in Tiniaro contained ochre, but their shape indicates they are graves. Some of them contained ash and charcoal, which may indicate their use as hearths. Kokkonen claims that nocturnal soil samples can be analyzed for fossilized hair, and chemical analyses, including the extraction of ancient DNA from the soil, can yield unique results and new insights into Stone Age society. Nanospirals from the Naroda River. In the 1990s, gold prospectors panning on the Naroda River started finding odd fragments. Tiny metal spirals, 1 to 3 millimeters long and up to 0.1 millimeters thick. Under a microscope, the coils are distinct, as if taken from a miniature bolt. Spectral analysis showed almost pure tungsten with traces of molybdenum. Refractory metals do not naturally form these shapes. The rocks found were from Pleistocene glacial deposits. If the layer is ancient, the spirals may have lain there for thousands of years. They also discussed nanotechnologies from a prehistoric civilization, claiming these are remnants of unknown mechanisms, probes, or tools. It was later discovered that geological exploration in the river's upper reaches during Soviet times used drill bits with tungsten teeth. When they wore out, they broke off and rolled into the riverbed. There, the current and sand polished them into spirals, and it wasn't the fragments that were ancient, but the sedimentary layers they ended up in. Today, most scientists consider them to be man-made shavings, but the shape itself is too precise not to raise doubts. We can pretend that nothing happened, that these are just mistakes, coincidences, or tricks of nature. But if even some of these discoveries are real, it means our history is incomplete, and perhaps the most interesting part of it has yet to be written. Thank you for watching. Goodbye, everyone.